when you first get hired as an online teacher, you're going to be asked to fill out some paperwork. And the majority, I can't say all, but the majority of online teaching platforms and positions are independent contractor positions. So you're going to be asked to fill out an I-9 or 1099, which is completely different from a W-2. And if you're anything like me, when you started teaching online, you'd only ever filled out a W-2. So I want to talk about the difference between an I-9 and a W-2 and how it relates to you. Hey there, I'm Allison from OnlineTeacherAllison.com, and I teach stay-at-home parents how to teach online so they can earn an income from home. So before we get into anything, I want to preface this by saying I am not an accountant. I am not a tax professional. So what I'm going to be covering today is only the bare basics, the what is it and what do you need to know. Any sort of nuances that have to do with your personal finances for your family, please go talk to an accountant or a tax advisor because taxes are a big deal, right? Nobody wants to get audited by the IRS. Okay, let's get that out of the way. So when you fill out a full-time employment job where you are guaranteed hours or you're guaranteed a contract and you're guaranteed a position for a certain amount of time, then you're probably filling out a W-2. And one little section in the W-2 asks about tax withholding. And your employer, whoever that is, will withhold whatever percentage you checked from your paycheck every week, every month, bi-weekly, whatever you get, from every paycheck to help during tax season, right? So with a W-2, taxes are automatically withheld for you. Whatever amount is determined by whatever you checked when you were filling out paperwork or the last time you changed it. When you are teaching as an online teacher, you are not guaranteed slots. You're not guaranteed classes or hours or a certain amount of hours. You're not considered full-time. You don't have any health benefits. None of that comes with it. You're considered an independent contractor. So when a company decides to hire you on as an independent contractor, not an employee, you're going to fill out an I-9 during that paperwork. And the I-9 is different because it doesn't have any tax information. It's just basic. So your job as just like an adult managing their finances is to think about taxes ahead of time. So there's a few different things that I've seen teachers do and that you can do. So what we do for us, for our family, is we have two separate banks. We have our primary bank account, which is where my paychecks go. And we have a separate bank account, which is where my taxes go. Now, what's nice about this is my company specifically is when I filled out my I-9, I could say, hey, I want you to take this percentage of my check and I want it in this bank account. The rest of it, this bank account is our secondary taxes one, right? That doesn't really get touched all year. The rest of it, I want you to put in my normal checking account that I'm going to use to buy groceries with my debit card. So some companies will give you that option. Not all will. When I was teaching with VIP Kid, I don't think that was an option. I can't remember for sure. So what I had to be really diligent about doing was when I got paid, which with VIP Kid, I could pick weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, I had to make sure that I calculated that percentage of my overall paycheck. Let's just call it 10% for an easy number. That's not my percentage, but we're going to call it that. So I had to take 10% of my overall check. Let's say it was $1,000. So I had to take $100 and move it over for taxes. So when tax season came and let's say I earned $1,000 flat every month, again, just for easy math, and I reported, hey, I earned $12,000 with VIP Kid. I reported that income. You have to report it, right? You still get tax paperwork even though you're an I-9 contractor and an independent contractor. So when I reported I made $12,000 with VIP Kid this year, that was able to factor into our taxes. So we do our taxes pretty much through TurboTax. And if you do that too, you cannot use the basic one as an online teacher because it's kind of considered like your own home business. So you have to upgrade to the home business one, which annoys us every year because it's like $100 just to get started doing your taxes just in TurboTax. So, but it's not like a tax professional isn't going to charge you anything. So taxes are taxes. So I am able to take that money. So if they ever were to come back and say, hey, you have not paid enough in taxes based off my husband's a W-2 employee. So if he did not have enough withheld to help cover whatever I made, then I would have this money. This is my secondary account hand from my secondary account. And I could say, okay, we've saved up this money for this reason exactly. So we would move over however much the IRS say we said we owned. We would move over however much the IRS said we still owed them. So that's my cushion, right? It's our backup plan. I have the secondary account full of tax money so that if something needs to be paid to the IRS, I have it, right? I'm not scrounging, trying to get more hours, get more classes, find some money out of savings or, digging between the couch cushions. I have it already set to go. But my husband withholds pretty aggressively, so we always get money back. And so the secondary account ends up just kind of being secondary savings for us. And we've ended up repairing. So my car is a 2014 car. It is 10 years old this year. It's got 100,000 miles on it. And it's starting to show. We had to spend, it was like $2 or $3 grand this year because my car was not running, and it's still not quite right. So that's what we end up using it for, is at the end of the year, if we still have money, we're like, okay, cool, we can do house repairs, we can buy ourselves something nice, we can fix the car. So it ends up being a little bit of an extra of a return for us. So that's one option you can do, is every check, however you get paid, is you can either manually move it over, or if your company offers it, you can have them put whatever your percentage is into that secondary account, so you don't even have to think about it. I need to not think about it because I won't do it. So a second option I've seen online teachers do is they pay the IRS quarterly. So every quarter rolls around and they pay the IRS whatever it is they have to pay the IRS. That way, when tax season comes around every new year, every April, right? That's when it's due. It's in April. They've already paid them in like small payments. They don't have this big old chunk that's just staring at them like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to come up with this lump sum of money? So that's another option you can do, is you can pay them quarterly, and that's something you would set up with, again, an accountant, a tax advisor. You determine if that's what you needed to do. So a couple things with I-9, just a couple nuances that don't have to do with money. When you were an I-9 contractor, you're not considered an employee. I already alluded to this. You're considered an independent contractor. And you're also not given any benefits as like an employee would get. So if you were an employee of someone who's a W-2, you'd have health insurance, you'd have maybe a union, you'd have time off, like paid time off, all of these things, those benefits that come with a W-2 position, they don't come with an I-9 independent contractor position, but it does come with more freedom and flexibility to create your schedule, which is why I love online teaching, because I'm pregnant. We've talked about this before. And so I was able to set up my schedule this year so that I have to miss very few classes for my prenatal appointments. I do have to miss a day coming up this month because I have an ultrasound in the morning, and then my regularly scheduled OB/GYN appointment in the afternoon, and we weren't able to schedule them close enough. And it's like half an hour away, and it's just like right there where it's like, if I go home, I'm going to be home for like 45 minutes to an hour before I turn around. So I'm going to have to take that whole day off, and I don't know, my son and I will do something, I guess, get lunch, and I don't know, it's going to be cold. So I've had to take off very few classes because of that. So my regularly scheduled prenatal appointment, I wouldn't have had to take anything off because it is at the end of my day. I don't have any classes at that time. It's just that this ultrasound has to get done. So that's why I love being an independent contractor. So my son, if he were to get sick, I wouldn't have to be like, hey boss, I need a sub, or I need coverage, or I'm just not going to be there. I need to take a sick day because my son is sick. I just take the day. In my case, I ask for a sub. I put it up on like the sub grabber system. The pickup, what's this say? I can pick up sessions. So like if other teachers need a sub, I can go in there and be like, oh yeah, I have a free half hour. I can cover that. So I just put it up there and someone covers it. And it's part of my daily, like after every class, I write down what we did and where we're at. So if anything ever happens, the sub's ready to go. And so that's what's really nice is, yeah, I don't get paid for it like I would as a W-2 employee, but I don't have to feel guilty. So if we're dealing with chronic ear infections or the flu is, making its way through all of us, which has happened, I don't have to so much worry about that. I might shoot my boss a text and be like, hey, just a heads up, like this is what's going on here, but I don't have to worry about that. So that's another benefit of an I-9, an independent contractor position as an online teacher for me, is I get to take the time off I need for my family and for my prenatal appointments and later for baby checkup appointments. And also, when I go on maternity leave, no one is going to be hounding me to come back. When I went on maternity leave with my son at 6 weeks, they were emailing me like, when are you coming back? And yeah, it's partly on me because I didn't tell them I had a C-section and I was entitled to 8 weeks. But I also took more than 8 weeks because I just could not go back. So I was also, at that time, I was part-time because I knew this was coming. So lots of things. But anyways, so that's another thing about it is although you don't get some of these benefits, you do get more freedom in your own schedule and your own way. Now, there's a lot more nuances between I-9s and W-2s, and we could be into it forever, but that's basically what you need to know. You're not an employee. You're an independent contractor. And although you're losing out on some like benefits, like medical would be the biggest one. For me, my husband's active duty, so we're just under TRICARE and it's fine. But if you're not, you would probably have to find healthcare elsewhere, like the marketplace or a spouse or a different job or, right? You'd have to figure it out some other way. But anyways, I got off track. What you are. You're not an employee. You're an independent contractor. W-2 employees have benefits. Independent contractors don't, but they have more freedom of their schedule. Okay. So I hope that was kind of clear. Don't forget to save money for taxes, whatever it is, because you don't want to be hit with a big sticker shock in April every year when you do your taxes. I hope you're having the greatest week ever, and we'll chat soon. Bye.